Hi, welcome. It's me, the man with many different opinions and many different takes. I wanted to make a hot take video for Genshin Impact, as well as other gacha games that I've played before. And I hope that whoever is watching this doesn't get on my dick like the Wuthering Waves fans did when I made my recent Wuthering Waves video. Anyways, I wanted to talk about some of my own personal hot takes regarding Genshin Impact and a few other games I've played before. I'm going to start with the Genshin takes because obviously I play Genshin a lot more than most of the other gacha games outside of Honkai Star Rail, and Genshin is the game I'm most knowledgeable about, even though I've only started playing these kinds of games about 6 or 7 months ago. Forgive me, I know some of these takes are going to be stupid or not that hot. Just go with it. First and foremost, I think Genshin should be more creative with the character design and stop putting fan service in everything, which I realize is not a hot take in the slightest. That is a lukewarm take at best. However, I have specific reasons for this. Like I already said, I am a man. I am a straight man first and foremost. So of course I can appreciate the women in these games. However, it is very blatantly annoying when every single female character in Genshin, or in Genshin specifically, has either a short skirt, short shorts, a thigh window, a chest window, or absolutely massively pronounced bodily features. Let's put it that way, right? It's genuinely, even for a straight guy like me, it's very annoying, and I can see why a lot of women might feel very objectified playing these games, especially with some such character designs like Lauma, for example, or Mawika in her own sense. Nefer, people have been having complaints about Columbina recently. Navia with some of the things that she does. Clorand, which I'm a Clorand lover first and foremost. However, still, like I said, it's annoying. Like, I would like to see more creative character designs. Like, for example, more women wearing pants, like Arlecchino. Arlecchino is peak character design in this game, right? Short-haired women, like Arlecchino, like short hair, even shorter perhaps. Like more short men, right? Venti is like one of the only short men I've ever seen in this game, besides like kids, as well as like it's just. I'm recording this like unedited, so some of this is going to be really awkward, but still, like, just more creative character designs in general will be really nice, and stop putting so much focus on fan service. Which, yes, I realize that a lot of the selling points of the gacha game scene is just the fan service, but just let's rein it back in a little bit, right? Let's rein it back. We don't need with the Raiden Shogun pulling a sword out of her boobs just to attract fans, right? We don't need that. It's okay. Second point, which again is not that controversial, but it's going to ruffle some feathers because there are some truly shameful and annoying human beings in the world that are up to no good and quite evil. But LGBT rep is not a problem. You people just need to grow the fuck up. LGBT rep is not a bad thing. It is very good, very necessary, and should be a lot more blatant than it actually is. About the blatancy part, I realize Hoyoverse is a Chinese company based in Hong Kong and Singapore, for its international branch. However, it is a Chinese company. It has to adhere to Chinese laws. And I know, being a master's degree holder in the international relations, I understand China has different laws than the U.S. when it comes to this sort of thing. Well, I mean, granted, the U.S. is going backwards on this sort of thing. However, I understand LGBT rep is not very easy to do in these sorts of games, especially by Chinese companies. I understand that. I'm fully aware of that. However, there was an incident a couple weeks ago where it was basically all but confirmed that Arlecchino is, like, by lore, a butch lesbian, by some sort of descriptor or something that was in the game. I'll try and find something and put it on the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. And oh my god, the absolute uproar that some parts of the Genshin community got over this. Said, it's not canon, it's not true. There's no gay characters in this game. Gay bad. I'm gonna throw up thinking about it. Grow the fuck up. Gay people exist, trans people exist, gender fluid people exist, pansexuals exist, bisexuals exist. None of them are bad, all of them are good, all of them are necessary in life. You can't do anything about it. Why the fuck does it bother you so much? Who cares? Right? And LGBT rep is not a problem. You just need to grow up, like I said. Third point, for Genshin specifically, the Archon quest links are fine. You just have a short attention span. Yes, I'm fully aware that I'm saying this on the back of Nodcry, which had 8 acts, which for Genshin is a lot. I understand that. However, This is coming from people in the community who will be talking about Genshin, who have not played any other gacha games, talking about how the Archon quests take too long. They take too long to play. The length is too much, and you can't play it comfortably. And if you really go back and think about it and time these quests, most of the Genshin Archon quests, the individual acts, are between 2 to 4 hours long. That's not that bad, right? If you have a full-time job, then yes, obviously you can't play them when you want to during the week. But on the weekends, you have enough time to get through 2 or 3 acts if you want to. That's not that big of a problem. And comparatively, even just Hoyoverse, right? I mean, Honkai Star Rail is the perfect example. I mean, Honkai has 2 regions together combined in Pendaconia and Forius, which combined have 90 hours of story. Just those 2 planets alone, which is, I think, if I'm doing the math correctly, 5 Archon quests in Genshin for just 2 regions in Honkai. And Amphorius in Honkai is 53 hours long. It took me 5 days to play through Amphorius, and 2 of those were on a weekend. 3 of those I had off work because I was sick, right? I had 5 days, 5 full 24-hour days to play Amphorius, and it still took me almost an entire week to do because it was so long. So get off your high horse about the fact that Genshin Archon quests are too long. Manage your time in the game better, learn, and accept the fact that it is not that bad. That's a hot take, I know. However, 4, I think Genshin needs to do a better job making their VAs pronounce non-English words. This is coming from somebody who speaks 4 languages. I speak English fluently. Ich spreche fließend Deutsch. Ich bin Deutsch. Je parle un petit peu français. Eu falo un pouco português. Okay? So I speak 4 languages. Sort of. I could say 5 if you count my Danish part, the Danish part of my family, by jeg ikke snakker dansk. Lille smule dansk. So I'm aware that when VAs go into the recording booth, they usually are not told how certain words are pronounced. They're not given any sort of directive. They're just told, hey, this is the mood you have to be in. Read this. We're going to record it. You have 5 takes. Go. And that's basically what they do. But learn to pronounce non-English words in a better light. There are so many different instances within Genshin specifically. Mondstadt comes to mind. Sumeru, there's a couple instances. Natlan, there's a couple instances. Nodcry recently, there's so many different instances where characters will be talking in about something, say a word in a different language, and it is the most bastardized, bullshitized, worst sounding attempt I've ever heard. And that is like the final take they put in the game. I have to give massive props to Lauma's VA on this. I forget her name. I'll put it on the screen. But she does such a phenomenal job of at least attempting to pronounce the Finnish and Swedish and like Baltic words in Nodcry's story quest, like Kutar, for example. She does such a good job of at least trying when you have Paimon's VH going, oh, Kutar! Like, that's not how that's pronounced, first and foremost. Secondly, you're not even trying. And then as a German, my biggest gripe being in Mondstadt, where everybody just calls the city Mondstadt, not how it's pronounced. Don't even know why they did that. And then my to this day, the one thing in the game that pisses me off the most when I go back through Mondstadt and listen to them doing the fucking scene where they talk about the Liar der Himmel. What the fuck is that? Right? If you wanted to pronounce correctly, it is the Liar der Himmel. That's how that's supposed to be pronounced in German, right? I talk about Fischl a lot. I don't like how Fischl speaks. I'll give her a pass because someone informed me on the TikTok I made or the short on YouTube that Fischl's VA does that on purpose because Fischl herself doesn't speak the language she's trying to imitate, and she's just doing her best to impersonate who she's trying to be. So I'll give her a pass. But everybody else, it's just the VAs need to have more, in my opinion, need to have more education on how non-English words are pronounced and learn how to pronounce them if they're given the opportunity. Okay? Number 5, your headcanon is not correct. Specifically for certain characters, but your headcanon for the game is not correct. Get off your high horse, accept the fact that you're wrong, and move on. This is specifically referring to some discourse I saw a couple weeks ago regarding Columbina on Twitter, where there was multiple different people in a thread fighting each other about Columbina's characterization in the game because it didn't align with what they thought the character was going to be, and they didn't like how they'd characterized her in the official lore. right? They didn't like the fact that Columbina had been, according to them, which is not true. I've gone through and watched some of these videos that they're referring to, but according to them, Columbina, when she was first introduced, like 4 years ago or something, after La Senora died, was apparently introduced as this like weird, off-putting, nobody knows who she is, like dynamic, non-dynamic entity that nobody knew anything about her. And they're basing it off of voice lines of Child, where he talks about how she's the third strongest harbinger, but he doesn't know why, because she's clearly so much more powerful than she lets on. And Wanderer talks about how she's weird and something like that, right? Given the context of those characters and how they act, one, you can dismiss those because they're voice lines. And the characters that those voice lines are part of are very different characters. Child never interact with Columbina. We've learned this in the lore. He never really interact with her. Of course, he wouldn't know much about her and would think that she's more powerful than she lets on. Wanderer just hates everybody, so of course he's going to think Columbina's weird, right? And people are fighting each other about the fact that Columbina is this laid-back, asocial, gentle soul who just wants to be left alone to her own devices and struggles making friends, is how she's characterized in the lore, in the Archon quest, and people don't like that. I don't understand why it matters so much. If you have a headcanon, that's great. That doesn't mean your headcanons are correct. Shut the fuck up. That's what I have to say about that. Just shut the fuck up. Let people play the game. Stop fighting each other about it. It doesn't matter. Great. Those are my 5 Genshin hot takes. The only other 2 hot takes I have, one is related to Wuthering Waves, and one is related to ZZZ. I'm going to talk about ZZZ first. My hot take for ZZZ is that ZZZ as a game is fantastic, right? I've played it a couple times. I've advanced in the story. I've actually played through the game now. ZZZ is fantastic as a game. However, the absurd amount of jiggle physics in the game, again, coming from a straight man, the absurd amount of jiggle physics in ZZZ is not necessary, and it is kind of off-putting even for me, right? You've got characters like Zhu Yuan or characters like Bernice, Caesar King. You've got characters like Evelyn is a prime example of this, where they take a step and their entire body quakes like they're made of fucking jello. Why? That's not necessary. Who approved this, and why is this needed? I don't get it. Tone it down a bit. We don't need this much fan service in the game. Yes, the outfits are fantastic. You don't have every single woman wearing high heels anymore. You don't have all of them being in short skirts and dresses anymore. That's fantastic. But oh my god, you didn't need to turn up the jiggle physics to 11 just to make sure you have some fan service. Tone it down, please. The last one I have is about Wuthering Waves, which is based off of more my own personal gripe of the fan base, especially given the last video I made. Wuthering Waves fans, please just relax, okay? No one cares, right? I made my most recent Wuthering Waves video as a joke, right? I played through the game. I played through the 3.0 story quest a little bit because I wanted to see what the hype was about. And given the nature of my channel, I don't take things too seriously when I'm making a video, especially when I'm playing a game I don't really care much about. I don't care much for Wuthering Waves. It's not my cup of tea. I don't really care. And so I made sure that while I was playing, because my channel is I'm trying to be funny in the channel, I made sure to crack a bunch of jokes. I made fun of Wuthering Waves. I made comments about how it was the worst Genshin Impact. For some reason, that really pissed WoWa fans off. And I understand, yes, your favorite game is being made fun of. That's understandable. But tell me why I had multiple comments talking about, oh, well, why are you playing the game in the first place? Why can't you just leave it alone? Why don't you just stick to something you like? I make YouTube videos. I'm going to play something if it's popular because it gets me views, and I'm trying to progress up the ladder. I'm trying to get to a point where I can be seen as maybe not a reputable source of information, but more or less as someone you can turn to and watch the things they make for fun, right? You can look at my channel as a way to relax, as a way to watch something after work or after school that you can just chill to. And if that means making fun of a game I enjoy, making fun of a game other people enjoy, making fun of just random games, poking shit at things, that's what I'm gonna do. I poke fun at Honkai, I poke fun at Genshin, I poke fun at ZZZ, I poke fun at every single game I play. There is a reason I do that, is because I think it's funny and I want other people to laugh. You don't need to get so butthurt about the fact that a Genshin Impact player is poking fun at your game. It's not that deep, especially coming from me. Relax. It's okay. You're not special. Your game's not being attacked just because someone poked fun at it. You don't need to flood comment sections of Genshin videos or Genshin players playing Wuwa videos going on about how Wuthering Waves is so much better than Genshin. You need to drop Genshin to play Wuthering Waves. I've had a comment like that on a TikTok once, right? By the way, where I made a video, a quick short when I was playing Wuthering Waves the first time, and someone had commented underneath, "Oh, well, this is just going to make you drop Genshin and play Wuwa because it's so much better." Like, I told them, no, I dropped Wuwa in favor of Genshin because I played it first and I enjoy it more. That's not a sin for me to say that. It's not the worst thing in the world. Just get over yourself. It's not that big of a deal. Every game has its fan base. Every game is good in its own way, except some of them. DNA, specifically, Duet Night Abyss. It's awful, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Get off your high horse. It's okay. You don't have to be right. Relax. And that concludes the hot takes. Yay. The sudden surge of energy. I hope none of this was too out there. I'm sure it wasn't. I hope nobody was offended by what I said. That was not my intention. And I hope nobody feels like I'm being condescending. I'm not. I'm just trying to talk about what I feel like with these things. I have more hot takes if people want to hear more of them. I have a couple more I could probably talk about if I wanted to, specific for Genshin. If not, great. I won't talk about them. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, sucks to suck, I guess. Leave a comment on any of your hot takes if you have any. If not, don't leave a comment. I don't care. But like, subscribe, whatever. I'll see you next time, and goodbye.